Let's dive right in. If you've ever bought or refinanced a home, you've definitely seen that line item for a home appraisal. But the cost, right? It can feel like a total black box, just this mysterious number that shows up on your closing documents. Well, today, we're going to crack that box open and decode the cost, especially for those of you in the Cincinnati area.
So this is the big question, isn't it? You get a quote for $550, your neighbor gets one for $800, and you're thinking, what gives? How can they be so different? We're going to get you a really clear answer on what's going on behind the scenes to create that price gap.
Okay, so first things first, let's just get a baseline. For your typical run-of-the-mill single-family home appraisal right here in Cincinnati, you're usually going to see a price somewhere in that $550 to $650 range. Think of that as our starting point for most average properties.
But, and you knew there was a but coming, right? That's just the benchmark. The final fee, it's not random. It's actually a calculated price that tells a whole story. A story about your specific house, your neighborhood, and what you need the appraisal for. So let's break down the chapters of that story. So, Chapter 1. And honestly, this is the biggest factor. It's the house itself. I mean, the appraiser's job is to analyze your unique property, and the more complicated it is, the more time and expertise it's going to take. Yeah, just look at the difference here. On the left, you've got a pretty standard suburban home, straightforward. But on the right, you've got something way more complex. Maybe it's a duplex, or it has some really unique architecture, or hey, maybe it has a guest house or a barn out back. Every single one of those complex features adds to the inspection time and the analysis, and that directly bumps up the fee.
And this really drives the point home. It's not just about the square footage. You got a swimming pool? That takes research. Did you do a massive custom kitchen renovation? That takes research. Got high-end luxury finishes everywhere? The appraiser has to find comparable properties with those same features to get the value right. Same thing goes for having a lot of land or a house that needs a ton of repairs. All of that requires more detailed work and documentation.
Okay, so we've talked about the house itself. The next really big piece of the puzzle is where that house is located. The location and what the market is doing right now are huge cost drivers.
And here's something you have to understand about appraising. The whole process relies on recent sales of similar homes. We call them comps. And, the amount and quality of that sales data can be completely different from one neighborhood to the next.
Just think about it this way. If your house is in a big suburban development where, like, 3 nearly identical homes sold just last month, the appraiser's job is pretty straightforward. But what if you're out in a rural area, or maybe a historic neighborhood where every single house is one of a kind? When that sales data is sparse, the appraiser has to spend way more time digging and analyzing and justifying their valuation. And all that extra work, it gets reflected in the fee. And then there's just the market itself. In a really hot market, appraisers are slammed. Their schedules are packed. So if you need a rush job to make your offer more competitive, yeah, that's probably going to come with a premium. Same goes if there's a shortage of appraisers in your area, or if your property is way out in the sticks and requires a long drive. It really is just supply and demand, and it means what's happening in your little corner of the world can really impact your bottom line.
All right, next up, the why. The whole reason you're getting the appraisal plays a huge role because different purposes mean different kinds of reports and different levels of detail. And this table breaks it down perfectly. A standard appraisal for a plain vanilla conventional loan, that's your baseline. But if you're getting an FHA or a VA loan, there are much stricter federal guidelines. That means more detailed inspections and reporting. And then you have appraisals for legal stuff, like settling an estate or a divorce. That's a whole other level. Those reports have to be court-ready with tons of extra writing to make sure they hold up under legal scrutiny, and that naturally costs more.
Okay, let's talk about the last couple of things that can nudge that final price up or down. The type of service you need, and of course, the professional you hire. This one's pretty simple. How fast do you need it? A standard turnaround time is already baked into that base fee, but if your closing date is right around the corner and you need that report like yesterday, well, that's a rush order. Moving your file to the top of the pile means shuffling everything else around, and that speed is going to come at a premium.
And of course, expertise matters. A really experienced appraiser, maybe someone who specializes in luxury or unique properties, they might charge more for their specialized knowledge. Also, who you order the appraisal through can make a difference. Going directly to a local Cincinnati firm versus using a big national appraisal management company, an AMC, which is kind of like a middleman, can result in different fee structures.
So here's the bottom line. An appraisal fee isn't some number pulled out of a hat. It's a direct reflection of the appraiser's time, the complexity of the job, the risk involved, and their expertise. It's all about your property's unique story, your neighborhood's data, why you need the valuation, and how fast you need it done. So now that you've got the decoder ring, take a second. Think about your own situation. What's your story? Is it the really unique custom nature of your house? Is it that you're way out in a rural area? Or is it because you need a rush job for an FHA loan? Figuring out which of these factors is your biggest driver, well, that's the key to truly understanding the cost.